Welcome back to Beards and Brews, everybody. This week's review is going to be "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" Now,
From
fellas,
the year 2000.
in the
We can redo that if you want.
No, I love it.
okay, just real quick, we got Everett, which is George Clooney, Pete, which is John Turturro, and Delmar, which is God's gift to Earth. He's the best. he's so fucking great.
By the way, his name is Ulysses Everett McGill. Ulysses.
There's a scene later that we've discussed many times, Eric, and I didn't realize that he really took the worst of it like that. I had forgotten that bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like the sound that it made when it hit his face, was just like, and then he hits the ground.
But oh
Yes,
fucking
that's a spoiler.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
You got this
fuck.
podcast, and you're not just like fucked up. You're doing something wrong.
yeah.
We're going to tell you how this movie ends. So if you care about spoilers, probably don't listen.
Probably shouldn't have listened to the first 20-some episodes.
But this movie starts out, we've got a couple of guys in a chain gang, and they're singing, busting rocks and everything, and then they run away. They bust out.
What do you do if you don't know the words on the chain gang, though?
I feel like after so long, you just learn.
Yeah,
They'll teach you.
that or just kind of long.
Like, you're the new guy, and they're singing the song, and it seems like a good time, but you don't know it. The guy next to you is looking at you like, why ain't you singing? You're like, dude, I didn't take chorus.
That's what I was gonna say. You get the chorus down first, and you kind of like meander through the rest.
Working on the chain gang. Brr, brr, brr.
Yeah, like it's not like the sheriff's gonna like go in like each and every person, just like, huh? What's
Hey!
that? What's
Hey,
that,
that
boss?
was supposed to be an E flat.
That needs to be somewhere in the neighborhood of B.
Oh, Delmar. I just want to give him a hug. He just like this fucking dude. Swear to God.
We thought you was a horny toad.
So these three fellas had broken out of a chain gang, and they're escaping to what they think is to find this treasure hidden by Everett, which is to the tune of $1.2 million. I can't say dollars; it just sounds weird. But $1.2 million.
That's 500,000 each.
That's
You
400,000.
can't do math. By the way, this movie is evidently loosely based on Homer's The Odyssey.
Yeah, it's like if you take the Odyssey and dip it into like 1920s God-fearing Mississippi.
On DMT.
If
Oh,
you
okay.
take the Odyssey, if you take let's say a modern print copy of the Odyssey, and you batter it up, really batter it up, deep fry it, keep it in there for a good 4 or 5 minutes, then you take it out, take that deep fried book, put it onto a plate, and slather it in some good white gravy.
So what you're saying is, if, the Odyssey was written by Paula Deen,
I think he's trying to say that Homer was a Dapper Dan man.
I think we all are. I don't want no goddamn fop.
All these geographical oddities down here.
Those boys, though, they take off through this field, and it's set to Big Rock Candy Mountain. And
I like the little juxtaposition. I
Yeah,
like
it's
this
funny.
really, really hard labor and this really, really dainty song playing along.
And I'm sitting there taking my notes, and all I hear is Big Rock Candy Mountain. But all I could picture in my head was The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack. It's like, hey, yeah, that's the intro to Flapjack.
Yeah, if anybody that listens to this cast, it's also like an executive at Cartoon Network, which you don't. Bring that show back, you fucks.
Oh, Captain.
By the way, just going to get it out of the way, the soundtrack to this movie is phenomenal. There's a reason it won a Grammy and an Oscar and all that other stuff. It's phenomenal. It's so good.
They take off
Fuck of it.
across that field, and no one in the prison, though, thought that, let's not put this right next to a fucking train track.
I think at that point, like, most of those prisoners are pretty dead set of just, like, breaking those rocks. Like, what are they going to do, escape or something?
Not like in three boys running and jumping into a train asking if people know anything about the metallurgic arts.
By the way,
And you-
there were like
Bunch of cities.
60 of them or more, all of them with big ass hammers. There were like 3 guards. I don't know why they couldn't just whap them in the face.
3 guards and horses. All right, you ever seen a horse? Horse don't give no fucks.
Horses are big as shit. No.
That is true. I guess you'd have to punch a horse in the face. That's a different movie, guys.
I'll tell you something that I didn't appreciate growing up that really hit the mark on this go around watching this film is the dialogue, especially coming from George Clooney's character. He
100%.
has some of the best fucking lines.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen this movie in probably 15 years, so I didn't really remember just how great the dialogue is. The dialogue all through this movie, and like you said, especially from George Clooney, just fucking phenomenal. Everything that comes out of that man's mouth is just quotable.
It's just like this weird kind of like clever, not clever kind of thing. Like he's trying to be smarter than he actually is. That kind of rhetoric.
Yeah, but it works so wonderfully in this film, especially whenever they get onto the rail cart with the blind prophet. And the blind
he's trying to talk him down and everything.
Yeah, he's giving him all this mystical dialogue. I have no way. I have no name. And George Clooney's character is just ignoring all this. He goes, "You ain't got no name? Well, that's why you ain't got no job."
Yeah. So there's your first problem.
Obstacles. Like, what the fuck?
I like how that carries on too with Pete later on. He's like, he said we ain't gonna find that treasure. Cause them obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about this movie. Okay, so we pick movies usually for fun, to fucking pick the shit out of. This one is just a really good time. It's a damn near flawless movie. Like, not even just saying that just out of, cheesem or just like brochacho-ness. This is a really fine picture, and it puts a smile on your face when you watch it.
Every damn scene is at least entertaining. You're entertained through the whole thing.
It's entertaining, it's well put together. I feel like this is like the synopsis of the shit we do at the end of the show. But man, if you haven't seen it, turn this off right now. Turn it on later so you can finish it. And just watch this movie. It's a Coen Brothers movie. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those movies too that, as, doing the review or whatever, it's hard to actually review it, especially go step by step, because each little scene can be broken down for 20 fucking minutes about all the shit that they were trying to get across, all the things that, as a child you miss, as an adult you pick up, like the way the dialogue works, the way the characters' facial expressions are pantomiming this or that while they're doing another thing. It's wonderful.
Chandler
and if you're just talking like scene to scene, ABC, this is what happens, you're really missing a lot, because the really joyous part of the movie is just like all of those little things.
The settings, number one, are fucking phenomenal. Every time they get into a new little set, it's lit different, it's set up different, it conveys a different message. Like
if you want to talk about that, did anybody notice the color of the movie? Like, it starts out really drab, but it winds up really colorful. So the movie gets more and more like it's this like one big transitional gradient.
Ooh.
Yeah, it starts with like that weird yellow hue.
Yeah, and that was all done on purpose too. It's like one of the first movies to do absolute color grading. Like, they shot it in 35 millimeter. And it's one of the first movies to be completely digitized, so they can color grade the whole movie.
Listen to this technical motherfucker over here.
What up? It's your boy, Skinny Penis. Wait.
All right, so let's try
It's just another one of them obstacles you're going to have to overcome.
Let's try and actually progress through this a little bit, just to try and keep everybody up to date onto what is actually going on in this movie. What is the plot?
Is you ain't following along with our podcast? That's the real question. Actually, no. I know, we'll get into it, but like Chandler and I were talking earlier, like how long we could go with just movie quotes as actual conversation.
The whole fucking thing.
Yeah, the whole fucking thing.
We'll just fall into that.
Movie is super quotable, for real.
I hadn't watched it in a long while as well, and I realized this is the movie where I pull some stuff that I use just about every day. It's like, see you in the funny papers. I say that. It's like, damn, we're in a tight spot.
Dan, we're in a tight spot.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know. Like, even when it's like really subtle in the background, damn.
It's just 4 times in that scene, though.
Just him being awoken. Oh, we'll get to the part where he just had this fucking hairnet on. He's completely aroused by like being busted in the barn. It's a look on his face.
Just shooting awake. Is my hair okay?
Yeah. Sorry, Chandler. Back
Did you
to
say
the
he
plot.
was aroused?
He was
Mrs.
roused.
Oh, aroused.
Yeah.
All right, so they take this little train hand cart with the can we say magical Negro, because that's no. I know we're gonna have to cut that, but that's a fucking, look it up on TV tropes. It's a thing.
I'm still on it. No, you can't.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So they're riding this rail cart with the fortune-telling blind man and
Radio edit.
You know, whatever. I'm gonna keep it in. It's
Yes.
Oh no. Anyway, they eventually get to John Turturro's cousin's house, Pete's cousin's house, who I guess he hasn't seen in a while. And well, long story short, he turns him in. He reports him for the what's the word?
Bounty.
Bounty. He reports him for the bounty.
Jesus Christ.
While we are there, like, you kind of get a sense of just like how awful people lived back in the day. This dude lives in a house surrounded just by, I don't want to call it trash, but it's just like dismay. That's all it is. It's just like relics of like what he had through his life, and it's just all gone to shit.
Yeah, it looks just like a regular West Virginia trailer park.
Yeah, because the depression.
Yeah.
I'm here to shoot the people from the bank, says the boy.
Yeah. And I guess he was married to somebody, but she done RUNNOFT, as if the little boy can't spell, I guess.
Well, it is the 1930s in Mississippi, in like rural, like RURURUL Mississippi.
He gives his like sob story about how everything's gone downhill, and I love that George Clooney's character is like, okay, is that Dapper Dan?
Yeah.
You got a hairnet?
I love how that's his thing. He's just like his hair and, you know, what he's trying to get after later on.
That pussy.
Good Lord.
So that night they get to stay in the guy's barn or whatever. He's George Clooney has his hairnet on, so no hay gets in it. And the buddy kind of just narcs on him.
They fucking set the barn they're in on fire.
And it's like this one little, like, really great, like, whoopsie in the movie, where they pour some gas in the barn and they chuck a, not a flare, what is that? They chuck a torch into the barn, and Pete's just like, I'm going to kill you, and just chucks it right back, and he explodes the armament car.
It traces the gasoline back to the car, and it just a hail of bullet fire within this van. And it just ends up comically exploding like a fucking Bugs Bunny movie.
This scene and a bunch of others, you're always just like, how the fuck are they going to get out of this one? And just like magic things happen. Just like that fellow on the train tracks. Just magical things. And the fucking kid just, I guess, steals his pop's car, gathers the boys, and just drives out the back of the barn.
Cut to them kicking him out of the car.
They fucking throw a rock at him.
He's like, you car stealing so-and-sos. Just the fucking dialogue.
And Pete just launches a rock at him. That's just so funny. He's just a little kid who's just chucking shit at him. Go back home, mind your paw.
Oh, shucks. Little Opie from fucking Andy Griffith goes trucking off home while they head off to try to procure more Dapper Dan.
Yeah. But in this case, that little shop didn't have any Dapper Dan. It takes about 2 weeks to get some in.
Well, ain't this place a geographic oddity? Goddamn, 2 weeks from everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, because they had to order that car part.
The transmission belt.
But in the
Which would
meantime,
get there in 2 weeks.
But they ain't got 2 weeks. They only got 4 days.
And why do they have 4 days for this?
Because they gonna flood the whole area where the treasure built.
But in the meantime, you guys care for some gopher?
I don't know why that's one of my favorite parts of the movie.
No, it's hilarious. It is.
So while George Clooney is trying to figure out the thing with the transmission belt and Dapper Dan, you have two fellas, they're camping out, they're, they found some gophers to eat or whatever. And I guess they had their fill, so when George Clooney comes back, Delmer has a gopher on a stick, and he flawlessly, at the end of every piece of dialogue and every inch that the guys give him, he just offers George Clooney, gopher?
No thank you, Delmar. A third of a gopher would only arouse my appetite without bedding her back down.
And Delmer's just like, that's okay. We found some earlier, and we had one apiece. We found a whole village of gophers.
Oh. And then, that's whenever Pete character hops up when he realizes that fucking George Clooney done went and stole some shit from his kin. He goes, well, I was just a bar in it. He goes, well, you didn't know we were going to be leaving. It was, well, I was barring it till I needed to steal it.
Yeah, that don't make no sense.
And then, a choir? More singing?
Yeah.
There was a lot more singing in this fucking movie than I remembered. This is almost a musical.
It's, they're having some kind of, like, mass baptism suddenly
Yeah, the
in
whole
this
town
area.
baptism. Yeah.
Just drowning bitches, I guess. And in the middle of it, two of the boys, Delmer and Pete, have like a flash panic. They see all this godliness, this, Christian nonsense, and they're just like, well, shit, my life's kind of whatever. I'm gonna go get saved too.
I gotta go make things right with the Lord.
Yeah.
But old Ulysses Everett, George Clooney, he's still
He's a skeptic.
He is a skeptic, yep.
It's just fucking Delmer just like runs in the middle of the river, jumps in line.
Skips
in front
the
of
whole line.
Yeah, just like whatever. He's like, come on, boys, I done washed my sins away, and the water's fine. Ah.
Including that Piggly Wiggly I knocked over. Thought you said you was innocent. Well, I was lying, and that's been washed away too.
Yeah.
And
My
they're giving
sin-
Clooney shit for not getting in there. He's like, what could it hurt? Well, at least it would have washed away the stink of that pomade.
Which offends him pretty sharply, which is hilarious.
The pleasing odor of my hair treatment is half the point.
Yeah. He's like, cleanliness, boys. Even though he hasn't had a shower at all.
Oh, yeah.
My
They're
favorite
out there
bit
on the
from-
road in the hot Mississippi sun eating fucking gopher. But he's got to have his pomade.
He's so innocent, but not innocent. It's so great.
So after that, this is when they end up running into their buddy, old Tommy Johnson. Which I definitely thought he was in reference to the blues singer Robert Johnson, the famous blues guitarist.
Yeah, 100%. I think
No, evidently it is not. It is in reference to Tommy Johnson, who has pretty much the same backstory as Robert Johnson, but was in fact a real person and of no relation to Robert Johnson. I looked it up.
what?
Yeah,
No, that's an honest what? Just like what?
Yeah, no. Same backstory. Sold his soul to the devil to play guitar. Played, deep blues guitar in rural Mississippi in the 1930s. Same fucking story as Robert Johnson. Why have I never heard of Tommy Johnson?
Well, I mean, you probably didn't hear about it. It's a small world spiritually. I mean, you got people selling their soul to the devil. You got other guys, getting their sins washed away.
Well,
We
I
might
guess
be
I'm the only one
fortunate.
who remains unaffiliated.
Then they find out they can make money singing into a can, boys, and this is where we are treated to the band they come up with.
The Soggy Bottom Boys, named after those fucking Soggy Bottom Boys sitting in the back of that car.
Because they were still wet from the baptism.
This actually happens pretty quickly, I just realized.
It accelerates, but it's in a good way. And they sing, I am a man of constant sorrow. And growing
Where'd the
up,
song come from? Did they just write that on the spot? Like, is that a traditional song? Where'd that come from?
I think movie-wise, like narratively-wise, it just fell out of their faces.
Oh, okay.
it's,
but- It sounds great.
yes.
Yeah, it's one of the songs that's just kind of stuck around. Like, this movie had a huge impact here. And it just kind of like stayed around for a number of years. Like the soundtrack kind of emanated.
The song
I
got
think
actual playtime on the radio. I remember MTV had a music video for it.
No, yeah.
I'll tell you, fucking everyone had this album. Somehow, like, everybody. It doesn't matter if you were a metalhead, if you were a punk kid, if you were fucking... My grandma had this album. Everybody had it.
It's like good music is good music. I feel like it just crosses boundaries and stuff.
Well, the guy running the show at the record company seemed to think it was pretty good too, because they signed him up. They were like, "All right, we'll give you $10 a piece."
I give you $10 piece.
You're gonna have to sign this line, but Merton Aloysius, they can't write.
That sounds Is that okay? Yep.
Fortunately, the record executive or whoever it was running the show was blind. Fortunately for
It's
the protagonist, not for him.
It's that fucking dude from Office Space with the red stapler. That guy.
Is that Milton?
That's Milton.
Yeah.
It's my stickler.
Yeah, blind ass Milton.
Now, can we please discuss the governor or the senator or the fucking whatever he is of the state?
You stupid some bitches.
Pappy O'Daniels.
First of all, who's voting for a dude named Pappy?
Your fucking gimmick is pass the biscuits, Pappy.
I mean, how much more southern can you get, I guess? I don't know.
Shit was pretty good, though.
It's either biscuits or you've got a little person on the back of a truck sweeping.
Also, it's biscuits or racism. Nice.
All right. Now, on the fence
Why
of
not
being
both?
Chandlerized here, they have a line a bit later about that little person, which made me fucking crack out laughing. He's like, well, he's just running a hell of a campaign. He's got a midget with a broom. Just like, what?
Well, then, like, after a couple seconds of nothing, then he has the great idea of just like, what if we get a smaller fella and a smaller broom?
Yeah, right in the middle of all this, there is a heated gubernatorial campaign going on between, I guess, the incumbent Pappy O'Daniels and his opponent, what's his name?
What is his name?
Playing bad guy.
Yeah, man, I can see that stupid poster next to the.
Homer Stokes.
There you go.
Yeah.
And it's like a plot B, and it kind of interweaves with the boys a couple times, so it finally comes to like a little apex later on.
So after that, you know, they're continuing on their little journey, their little odyssey. They get to talking about, well, what are you going to do with your share of the treasure? You know, just dreaming, as you do.
Well, I'm going to be a maitre d'.
You want to say yes, sir? No, sir. Going to wear a bow tie every day.
I'm going to buy back the family farm.
He had a really good line. It was like, you ain't no man without no land. I was like, that's pretty fucking deep.
Eventually, one of them will be bona fide.
Damn.
He's a suitor. And there's like a little bit of a hint of what's going to happen later on, because they asked George Clooney what he's going to do with his share of the money. He's like, I don't know. Just like, a bunch of money. Haven't even thought about it.
Didn't think about it.
Which is kind of weird, because he's the guy with the plan.
Uh-oh. Cheese it. It's the fuzz. You know how you know it's the cops? They always announce their presence and intentions.
Yeah.
Hey, it's the police. We're here. We're gonna burn you out. We're gonna smoke you out. That's a different thing. Shit, we got
George Bush.
Shit. But in the heat of the moment where they kind of almost get busted by the police, this is where Tommy kind of hits the road. We don't see him for a good while.
Well, we do see him again.
No, we don't see him for a good while.
Yeah, but we do
see him again.
I'm glad we can agree. Next.
I'm with you, fellas.
All right. So after the cops come up and torch that barn, which they are not in, the boys run off again.
Yep, they're out on an old dusty trail, and they see a car coming.
Yeah, it's going super fast, and they all notice that, like, this thing could totally run us over. Let's not move and see what happens.
Right.
Not an inch.
The gentleman pulls up quickly. He's like asking for directions, like, "Hey, you guys know the way to what was it, like Timagacha or something stupid like that?"
Abina.
And he's like, "Yeah, just get in. We'll figure it out on the way."
Not only is he like, we'll figure it out along the way. Money is blowing out the back of his fucking car, and he asks George Clooney to take the wheel while he opens the fucking car door and asks Delmar to hand him that chopper.
Yeah,
he's getting chased pretty quickly, coming up from behind.
And through like a bunch of really good dialogue, we find out he's a kind of a standalone gangster by the name of George Nelson, tallest man in the world.
George Nelson, you say?
Hashtag babyface Nelson.
Not
What the-
babyface. George
Which one of y'all
Nelson.
damn motherfuckers said that? No.
But yeah, they end up accompanying him to hold up a bank after he just takes a Tommy gun and runs through the guys that are chasing him, the cops, I would assume, as well as a couple cows.
Yeah. Oh, George. Not the livestock.
Shit was so good. He has a fucking amazing line whenever he goes in to rob the next bank. The boys go in with him. He starts spraying a Tommy gun in the air. No one seems to give zero fucks. This hayseed bank, no one cares. Just he's got dynamite, and he's like, "Give me the money." They give him the money, and he goes, "Remember, folks, Jesus saves." George Nelson withdraws.
Yeah.
He thinks he's so clever for that too.
I think he's just doing this because he has some kind of complex. Like, he just wants to be, he wants attention.
Yeah,
And we find that, and we find that out because, like, remember me? I'm George Nelson, criminal of the century. And, like, this little old lady's talking to the dude next to her. He's like, and he just turns around with just, like, this
What
super...
the fuck did you say?
Yeah, he just, like, starts yelling at this old lady from, like, 4 inches away. Does she deserve that?
Yes, she did. But we find out later that, whenever they're all sitting around the campfire just having another talk, George is having some sort of existential crisis.
Yep, George gets sad. George went away.
Oh,
Maybe it's because of his baby face.
Is that like how he crashes? He gets the high from like a bank robbery, then just later on he just cruises into nowhere.
Yeah, because he doesn't even take his money. He leaves all the money and the boys take it.
And I like how the boys are immediately just like, what is he, like 40 feet away, and they start stuffing their overalls with cash.
Just instantly, like, fuck it. He's not taking his shit and coming back. He's just
He'll be
gone.
all right.
And if 2 of them are saved and just immediately robbing another guy.
No, they're taking it to give it back to that bank, right?
Yeah. They're good guys. You can tell because there's still an apple pie a moment later, and they pay for it.
Yeah, he puts a little dollar bill back up on the windowsill.
No. These are good fellas.
Yeah, and in the middle of this, we actually have a little thing going back to the record executive talking about how they can't keep Man of Constant Sorrow on the shelves. It's just selling out. They got to find those boys, those good colored boys, and sign them to a big record deal. Because for whatever reason, they told the record dude, the guy running everything, the blind man, that they were colored boys.
NASA, you're wrong. They said at first they were colored boys, except for their actual African American guitar player. And then he was like, "Well, we don't want no colored folk." He goes, "Well, turns out we're all actually white people, except for our African American guitar player." Like, okay, then.
Oh, I guess that's okay.
They lied twice, even though the last lie kind of like was the truth.
Yeah, John Turturro is both like white and not white in this. I feel
they make that a point later where they kind of like get all in a tussle and just get really dirty. So yeah. I don't know what that's.
Seek his ethnicity.
We thought. Okay, so anyways, so the boys are just like cruising down the road, and for whatever reason,
stolen car.
Yeah, and Pete is just like has this fucking stroke for whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't know where is this a calling? Does he sense something within his balls?
He has to have heard something like the rest of the characters in the audience doesn't.
Was it just rumbling down in his taint?
Just rumbling down in his bronx. Be sure to catch that one, guys.
Rumbling down in his bronx. No.
There we go. And he freaks out. He's like, Everett, pull over or whatever. And his car screeches over, and they all fumble out and go to this little creek. And there's just 3 chicks just taking a laundry bath.
Just wringing clothes out all over themselves. And they got them jugs of hooch with the cartoonish triple X's on them.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what were they even doing down there? Just, like, slapping rocks with, like, wet cotton? Like, I get they were sirens and they're trying to be, like, sensual and just, like, gotta, like, get these guys over there. But, like, what?
Yeah, but the siren lures, like, sailors to the, watery grave. These sirens lured them into, like, 3 inches of water and got them drunk.
these lovely ladies lure them to the creek where they're bathing to drink some liquor from their hooch bottles.
Hooch.
Yep.
Hoochie-coo.
And somehow Pete disappears.
He dissipates.
They wake up foot to foot in this weird triangle, and for whatever reason, there's just Pete's clothes and something moving where his heart should be.
Oh, sweet Jesus, Everett! They left his heart. They think these sirens are witches or something.
Okay. So, in this moment, Everett goes from trying to piece this together with whatever logic he has, like maybe he's somewhere out running butt naked. And then Delmar's like, they left his heart. And then the look on George Clooney's face when he just has no explanation of what the fuck he's looking at is goddamn priceless. It's so wonderful. It's like confusion and...
Like, is he finally right? Oh no!
Yeah.
But then, a little froggy jumps out. Boop.
I've never been turned into a horny toad, but I have been horny. But no, this week's beer review is Cigar City Brewing Company's High Alai IPA. This is from, I want to say, Tampa, Florida, somewhere in Florida. It's a 7.5% alcohol by volume India Pale Ale.
An India Pale Ale from the great state of America's Wang. Wonderful.
Yep. It's solidly piney. It's just like a good hoppy, not overly hoppy, but good, solidly hoppy IPA. I know a lot of people kind of put this one on the pedestal among IPAs. It's for a little while was known as like one of the best IPAs out there. I don't quite agree with that. It's not the best thing I've ever had. Not the best IPA by any means. It's not bad. It's not bad at all.
If you give that to some ladies, that they'd be fixing to fornicate afterwards.
I hope so.
So it's not perfect, but you'll be happy with it?
That's a good one.
All right, so you guys want to get back into this and meet Dan?
You got your booze. We got some horny toads. The two seem to go together, especially with the line that comes next. When you got fucking old Everett, and he's like, "We need a wizard." Just what the fuck?
Come on, that ain't Pete. Yes, it is. Look at him.
It's just frog face, like just.
Of course it is. Look at him.
That's what I love about him. Every line he has is gold.
Dude carries the fucking thing into a restaurant, for God's sakes. He's convinced that this fucking frog is Pete.
He does put him in a very nice shoebox.
What was that thing that he said? Because he had the box open and the toad was just in it. He's like, cover that thing up. Nobody wants to see that.
Let's just get people turned off eating. Turned off their food.
I don't think it's right.
Like it's like, what are you, ashamed of Pete? He's like, if it is, I am ashamed of him.
Yeah.
They have this big hullabaloo and start ordering like the most expensive things on the menu. And immediately, John Goodman's character just hears this and their voices and can just knows, boom, easy marks.
He just like sniffs the air. It's like, a couple of suckers.
Stupid people with a lot of money.
Ooh, that's Big Dan T's call.
He fucking dressed like Colonel Sanders with an eye patch selling Bibles.
He is a hell of a salesman because he immediately goes into a pitch that has nothing to do with what he's trying to sell. He's just trying to get these guys out of the restaurant so he can just fuck them up later on.
If you guys haven't seen the show The Righteous Gemstones, but you like Big Dan Teague, this character kinda, not 100%, but kinda carries over into that. He's a very religious preacher character, and it's a lot of fun. I suggest it.
I thought, like, since his name was Dan, I thought it was like this weird, like, Roseanne reference. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Big Dan Connor.
I remembered his name very well because I just kept thinking, that's Dan Connor.
Big Dan C.
Oh, nice.
So he, like, convinces these fellas to, like, pack up the lunch, orders something for him, takes him out to the middle of nowhere to, like, the most gorgeous field with, like, a single tree in it. And they're just kind of like, yeah, they have a little picnic. And I love how the movie tries to explain that they just had lunch and didn't quite say anything.
I can't eat and talk. I find it coarse and vulgar.
But now that I'm done eating, I'm gonna pick up the stick and hit you in the head with it.
He breaks off a goddamn tree branch, and they're just like, uh-huh. He's gonna give them the advanced tutorial.
I know, like, there's a level of stupid for each of these guys, like, in descending order, but Big Dan knocks the ever-loving shit out of Delmar, just, like, beats him to a pulp, like, one after another, smashing this poor little guy. And then George Clooney's just like, well, Big Dan T, I just don't get it. Ah! Boom!
But then he smooshes Petey.
Because he thought the whole time that they had money in the shoebox. And it's a Ferrari. And he goes, don't you know these things will give you warts? Fucking squishes it.
And poor old Delmar might as well just squished his heart.
Then we get a nice hard cut to Pete getting whipped.
His
Oh,
scream.
yeah,
Beautiful.
The cops caught Pete. They're trying to find out where his friends are.
Turns out those sirens were snitches and they turned him in for the bounty.
What about
What?
sluts?
So Pete caves under the pressure of being hung. And it cuts back to two other Trepid heroes.
I'm not talking about his dick size.
Look here, fucker.
I don't even know what's fucking happening, to be honest. You guys are talking over each other, and it was like talk, nothing. I'm not talking about his dick size.
All right, if a man is hung, we are talking about his dick size. If a man is hanged, then he is strung up from the neck.
He caves under the pressure of a threatened lynching.
All right, that's some acceptable nomenclature.
This is all staying in.
And then it cuts back to our two other intrepid heroes, and they're having a conversation about how Pete got squished, and he's like, maybe it's better that he got squished. He was barely a sentient being.
I like how every time they're away from Pete, like, he's always got a drill him as like he's like the most stupid of the group.
He doesn't deserve that.
Then we get a nice little shot of Pete back on the chain gang.
Yeah, they're like they hitch onto a back of a truck, take a little hitchhiking trip on the back of a truck. While they're driving through the chain gang, they glance back and they notice that's Pete, or somebody that looked like Pete. Does Pete have a brother?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, Pete must be getting to me.
For a second, I thought you said Pete was getting to him, so I was like, what?
Then you get Homer Stokes, servant of the little man.
Sleeping.
The
Oh,
rumor
yes.
firm.
Looked like that little man was a servant to him.
Oh no, he's hung.
Boompa, loompa, doompa dee, broom.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So
But we also get introduced to Everett's children.
Oh yeah. So from the back of this truck, they roll into a town, and Everett and Delmar are just kind of like rooting around, trying to just find their next move. And in the middle of town, they're having like this little festival. I guess it's like a little campaign thing for old bald dude with the midget guy.
Homer
Little
Stokes.
person.
Anyways, Everett's kids are there singing. He goes running up to him, and they're like, Dad, wait, you're not my dad. You were hit by a train. He's like, I ain't hit by no train.
You
I
ain't
love-
bona fide.
He's like, I'm your paterfamilias. I'm your father. It's like, no, you ain't hit by a train. God damn it, I was not hit by a train.
So,
Mama's
yeah,
got a new no. He's bona fide. He's a suitor. She
Like, I
got
don't
the
know what that means in like correlation to the story, just because he has like a good job or something like that.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
bona fide. I'm not sure about, but suitor's pretty simple.
Yeah,
I'm the paterfamilias.
fucking creepy ass kids.
He's got 7 damn kids. 7 of them.
Well, I'm feeling 6. That baby seemed kind of fresh, you know.
Super fresh. Super fresh. Not only that, but whenever he gets up to the new beau, did you guys notice that he sniffed him?
Yeah.
Is it using my hair treatment?
Your hair treatment. She was so good.
You gotta take it over as the Dapper Dan man of the house.
So anyway, this leads to some fisticuffs.
No, it was a single fisticuff. George Clooney tried to block with his face. I bring that up every time I talk about this scene because it's fucking ridiculous. Like he tries to like put up his dukes and everything. He makes 2 like swings with his right, and he just takes every fucking shot to the nose. It's hilarious.
Who is that man? It's not my husband.
Must be a drifter. And stay out of the Walsworth.
Fucking cross-eyed gap-tooth asshole.
I like later, whenever they reference that, he's like, we got beat up, banned from the Walsworth. I don't know if it was just that one or the entire chain.
So once this is over, they decide to go to the movies, catch a flick.
Yeah, down on their luck, they spend what they have left just to see a good old motion picture.
And guess what? The Policia show up. But not in the way that you would think. They're there with the chain gang, letting the chain gang see a movie too.
Well, that's nice of them.
You know who's in that chain gang, though?
Well, who?
That's our boy Pete.
Pete! Oh, we love Pete.
I thought Pete got smooshed.
Nope. He's
Turns out
there.
Pete wasn't that toad at all.
Nope. He's there, and he's giving him a warning by whispering louder than the film. Do not seek the treasure.
We thought you was a toad.
He just has the face looks like question mark.
They're like, fixing an ambush.
It's so fucking good.
Do not seek the treasure. Quiet down now. Huh? I like how every loud Southern man has to end every sentence with huh.
Well, you want to talk about whenever they go and they're looking for the Soggy Bottom Boys at the radio station.
Oh yeah, he's like
oh,
yeah.
What the fuck?
They turned into ZZ Top.
I was gonna say that it was like a Southern Goofy, just like a yuck. So now that it's confirmed that good old boy Pete is in the chain gang, the other two fellas decided just to go ahead and break him out.
So fucking easy. This scene to me, don't get me wrong, it's a great movie. This scene to me is my biggest complaint. They spend so much time worried about the law, this, that, and the other, and they break into the fucking camp where the chain gang's kept, break him out, and escape again like it's absolutely nothing.
Maybe that's how they got away in the first place so easily.
Well, perhaps. During a heartfelt confession that once they're loose, Everett confesses there ain't no treasure.
Well, that was after another confession of Pete giving up the location of the treasure, and he's heartbroken. He thinks these two fellas are his grandest of friends, and he's let them down to a point that's just irreparable.
Yeah,
Robin, I spilled my guts about the treasure. Well, there was no treasure. Sorry.
Commenced to ass beating, rolling down a hill.
So they're kicking the shit out of each other, and they just kind of roll down a hill. And whoop! Surprise! Clan meeting.
Now,
I hate it when that happens.
They roll upon this clan meeting, and number one, it's starting with some of the coolest fucking folk sound I've heard.
By the way, this isn't just a meeting. This is a full-blown... This is like everyone
this is a
from
clan performance.
From 3 and 4 towns away.
So these guys
are
a
there, Texas football game.
And they got our boy Tommy for a lynching. And let me just say, whenever I used to think about, the Ku Klux Klan and stuff like that, it's like, oh, what do? They just went out and grabbed up some poor bastard and they hung him because they're fucking ignorant. These guys had somebody they were going to hang, but before they hung him, they put on the most amazing choreographed Broadway special, including, shaping themselves into a marching T. It was a hell of a performance. If you're going to get lynched, you want to be lynched by these guys. At least you get a show.
See, that's what it reminded me of. It was like a halftime marching band show. I mean, they even had the color guard.
They did.
Yeah, I was thinking more like when North Korea got the Olympics. That's all I got.
Can we say North Korea?
Radio edit. But yeah, they kidnapped the color guard and they're sneaking in there to try to get their boy Tommy. The whole time though, they're fucking whispering it once again so loud that I don't know how these other guys who are escorting Tommy don't hear them go, "Tommy, we're going to rescue you."
See, that's the one thing about being severely racist. You lose your hearing at a very young age.
To kidnap the color guard, what they had to do was they snuck behind a rock and then they had Tommy peep out from behind and yell, "Hey, where the white women at?"
Jesus.
Fuck it, we're going to do that movie. Just put it on the list. God damn it. It's got to happen.
So, since he lost his hearing, apparently, Big Dan Teague's sense of smell has been enhanced, and he sniffs them out due to the Dapper Dan smell.
Oh yeah, it's unmistakable. That fob just kind of blends in, but Dapper Dan, whew.
Well, you got to know who's using your hair treatment.
So they use the only thing they got, and that's the Confederate flag, and they chuck it into the air.
It's like a fucking goddamn javelin.
Yes, it is.
Don't let that flag hit the ground.
Yep. And it's flying right at Big Dan Teague's face, like it's going to fucking spear him. And this whole time they're running off. Well,
R-U-N-N-O-F-T?
Yep, R-U-N-N-O-F-T. And he just grabs it like badass, like super badass. He's like, yeah, I'm a fucking badass. And
One
then they
from his fucking face.
Yeah.
I feel like that's why he has an eye patch, because he tried that last time and failed.
Perhaps during rehearsal. Just in case one of them there mulattoes gets loose.
This movie.
And he fucking throws it, he catches it, and then as like a coup de grace, they fucking snip the thing, the big flaming cross falls down onto Big T anyways.
So I like how Big T is crushed up by a big little T.
Oh, it is lowercase, isn't it?
This guy
We
gets...
put Jesus on the cross.
So now that Tommy's rescued, the boys are back together, the boys are back in town, to be honest.
Yeah, they are.
Oh shit! That pun was too good.
Back in town.
Jesus, boys, it's the fuzz. They're here. We're shutting down your podcast. They just threw a torch in my window.
Did somebody say North Korea?
Oh, no.
I like this. Since Everett came clean about his intentions and everything, trying to get back with his wife and kids, they have to find a way to get to her. She's at this ball with her new hubby or whatever, who's also a constituent of the racist fellow run for governor.
He's bona fide.
Bona fide racist.
Ooh, dang. So they sneak up on stage at this event, which just casually just has fake beards and guitars laying around.
As you do.
Sure, it's the South. Anything can happen. And, George Clooney needs a moment to speak to his wife, trying to just, get her to change her mind, while the other fellas are singing a nice little tune for everybody.
Yeah, during the scene, the only thing I can think of is that meme, and I'm just thinking, is this the Avett Brothers?
Oh, with the butterfly?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Old Ramblin' Bob. They got Pete yodeling and shit.
That is the finest yodeling on this side of the Mississippi.
Whenever they're doing the lip syncing for George Clooney and the other character, it's almost passable, but that yodel is so far off that you're just like, ooh.
I think they might have just kept it that way because it's just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like the way he's playing it off with his eyes rolled back and his neck cocked like a chicken, just he's just hamming it up.
But then they start playing their hit song.
And through this whole time, as we mentioned before, this record has been flying off the shelf. It's been going all the way through the Midwest. Nobody can keep it. It's the most popular thing since You Are My Sunshine. And as soon as they spark it up, everybody just gets on their feet and just starts clapping.
Yeah, even Clooney's wife is like, oh.
It's like, oh shit, it's a rock star. No way. Is that ZZ Top?
For reals, with them beards and such. They want to hear him so bad, but at the same time, our good friend, Mr. Broom guy, he's like, no! They can't be up there. They's misogynated.
And I like how his point was to run in, turn off the music, try to explain how these white men are black, and how he's in a secret organization that everybody knows about, but he's not going to tell anybody.
And also, he has it on the highest authority that Negro sold his soul to the devil. And at this point, everyone's like, boo! Boo this man. We want to hear the Soggy Bottom Boys.
Tommy does just take a step back when he says that. He's like, man, I didn't mean that.
Yeah. I mean, I said psych.
Is you is or is you ain't my constituents.
And people start throwing tomatoes at him and stuff like that.
This is such a good point to where the door slams open and you hear shunk, 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 shunk of uniformed boots, the sound effect they would use whenever the fucking riot squad's coming in, with their shields, to take care of convicts. But it's just a bunch of dudes carrying a pole.
I think that was a common thing back in the day, wasn't it? Being hooked off stage. It's kind of that same thing, on Broadway, you get hooked off stage, and back in the day, if you're just making an ass of yourself in front of people, they would just get a tree log, throw you on it, and carry you away out of disrespect.
I think
as a shaming thing.
What happened? I got carried out on a telephone pole. It was embarrassing. Never again will I be racist.
But
Nah.
I have never been to the South in the 1930s, so I'll let it pass.
And I don't think it's something you're gonna find on your national travel board. So.
Mythbusters. It's plausible.
Well, while this is happening, the current governor, you can tell by the giant GOV on his back, he's trying to get like the other guy's constituents, his like campaign, his campaign lead to kind of like switch sides because he's doing such a good job.
But he ain't having it.
Yeah, so he takes this like opportunity that everybody just hates this dude, and it's also being broadcast everywhere. So he's using this as almost like a political move. So he hops on stage like a dancing Eminem, just to say like, "Hey, like I am the Soggy Bottom Boys. They are me. They're with me. You know, if you love them, you love me. Vote for me."
By the way,
I
by
am
dancing
he is, you are he
Eminem,
is.
by dancing Eminem, he means the candy, not the rapper. There's a big difference in this context.
Yeah, he
gets
does not
up on
lose
the
himself in the
stage,
music.
Like that intro to the, beginning of the movie to get you to go to the concession stand. The, let's all go to the lobby.
Yeah.
But think about this. The first thing he does is pardons these celebrities for any crimes. So the 1930s and 2019 ain't too different.
It's not too shabby. It's a good move.
Well, I've spoken my piece and counted to 3.
Brady, are you sending memes while we're doing this?
Oh yeah, I laughed at it. Yeah. I fucking saw that Seth Rogen thing and I just had to like cover my mouth.
God damn it.
Are you looking at memes while we're doing this?
No, not
Well,
at all.
I mean, like I saw Brady send a photo, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm talking to Brady. Huh. Curious.
Look, I got my notes written out so well, I know when to cue in and when to shut up. And
Damn,
when it's
big
quiet time,
Or Big Dan meme.
I'm memeing. Oh, Big Dan meme. Let me give you boys a lesson. I'm about to send y'all some dick pics.
I don't get it.
But then he's like, let us, do the, what the fuck is it? The goddamn You Are My Sunshine nonsense.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Which is, I guess, is such a universal song back in the day that, like, everybody singing together is just like, everybody's just like comrades at this point.
Yeah, and they're all feeling good. And as soon as they step outside, this gets fun too.
It's probably the Truth Hurts of its time.
Why that song?
But yeah, he's speaking to the wife. They're going to get reunited, but she wants her ring, which is, back at their house, which is soon to be flooded. And he's got to go get it. And she's like, he doesn't want to. She goes, well, I've said my piece and I've counted to 3. In the 1930s, that was a true feat. So good for her.
Oh, is it because she's a woman?
Yes, they weren't allowed to have the educations and such.
So
They
like how
also
Kevin-
weren't allowed to count, or else they would be deemed a witch.
What?
Bitch.
But,
Then we get to see what happened to our boy Babyface.
I got better.
I'm glad that went through. Yeah, turns out that Babyface finally got busted by the government. I mean, he's kind of on his way to the electric chair.
He's actually pretty thrilled about it.
Fucking
He's-
ecstatic.
Yeah.
It's going to be more than static, I tell you that.
Yeah. And
But
I love that he says, it's going to take all the electricity in the city to get me. He's just so happy about it.
Me,
Yeah,
George
he thought-
Nelson.
What was it? Criminal of the Century.
And then at the end of the line, that one day he's like, cow killer, and there's a fucking cow.
Yeah. It's like they have a cow witness, too.
That's him. That's the one that did it.
Aha, I knew it. Get him, boys. Or make him away, toys.
Get back to your fucking Chick-fil-A.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Eat more
Eat more
chicken.
chicken. Yeah. Anyways.
So loud.
Anyways, the boys got to go get that ring. So they trek through where the fuck ever, and they come across some little shithole shack. And guess who's awaiting on them? Johnny Law.
But Law,
Is that
What's that
really his
about?
name? Because that would be like a really big coincidence.
well, there's
I mean-
something higher than Law at that point, so there's a fucking man. He's just an asshole.
Yeah, this bit reminded me of like a Key and Peele skit. Just the way like it was shot, and just the random 3 dudes fucking singing over there while they're digging the hole to bury these boys.
It's just like really, really 1930s down south Mississippi.
Yeah, they got the nooses all ready for him, hung, just like strung up there. Well,
George Clooney drops to his knees in prayer.
Well, wait, he's like, we got pardoned by the governor. It went out over the radio.
We ain't got no radio.
Right.
I'm like, I mean, I get it, but goddamn, dude.
Yeah, now you're just committing murder.
Yeah, he even kind of admitted to that. He's just like, it's like that's not like, it's like it's not right with the law. It's like the law is just a man's thing or whatever.
Well, good thing that the water got soggy.
I think
It's a good
early
thing
on,
their bottoms got soggy again.
Yep. So a big fucking deluge of water comes out, saves the day, wipes out the house. We get treated to like what's floating around in the water. Kind of looks like some kind of weird Dapper Dan Nirvana cover.
By the way, do cows float? How the fuck did that cow get on top of that roof? Again.
Just like the premonition, sir.
I mean, I'm pretty sure a cow testified in court earlier, so at this point, whatever.
Truth. So they all pop up from under this deluge, and they grab onto whatever they can. And this is my favorite fucking line in the movie.
Yeah, the three boys, they grab onto one of the coffins that they were going to be buried in, and they kind of look across the way, and it's like, "Hey, is that Tommy over there? Tommy, what are you grabbing hold of? Roll top desk."
Shit is so good. Oh, hey, there's Tommy. Tommy, what you riding there? Roll top disc. Just what the fuck?
Yeah.
I feel like these lines aren't really coming through. Like, to somebody that hasn't seen this movie, that line means nothing, but it's just a joy.
Yeah, because given the situation, it's like extremely severe, but
Yeah.
it's almost like it's like out of nowhere. He knows exactly what kind of furniture he's like riding on.
It's like, let's try to give it to somebody else. You're at like the beach. You're sitting there, whatever. Tsunami comes in. Oh fuck! There's no way you're surviving. Yet somehow you survive, and you're floating there, holding on to whatever you can. You look over and you're like, oh, hey, there's Eric. Eric, what are you holding on to there? Honda Civic.
Huh. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like 96 Civic. It's just like extremely specific for the given situation.
Yeah.
So, since I guess this is kind of like symbolism for like everything like their past being washed away at this point. And George Clooney gets the ring from the roll top desk that Tommy was on.
Yeah, I mean, really, after they came up out of the water and he was like, roll top desk, I was done. I was like, this is great. This is it. There was some more. It didn't need to be.
Well, I think this movie floats in and out of spirituality, and it's still really good, but like George Clooney specifically prayed to see his daughters one more time, just see them. So when he came back with the quote-unquote wrong ring, he wasn't going to marry him. So, like, he kind of got his wish.
Yeah, and it even closes with the, as Chandler put it, magical Negro rolling away down the track.
That's a legitimate trope. That's not my words. That's the words of... Come on, man.
It's a fucking great movie.
Man, it's so good.
It's unbelievably entertaining. I wanted to rewatch it. Like, I finished the last half hour or so just before this cast. I just kind of wanted to watch it again. I actually kind of want to watch it with you guys, just for the fuck of it, because it's just such a great time.
This movie is this good. Think about it. This is 2019. My son, who was more than willing to just sit in his room and play fucking video games, has a brand new video game, came out. He caught it about 20 minutes in. Came out about 20 minutes in. Saw I was watching it. Some of the lines were really landing with him. He started laughing. He sat down. He finished the movie with me. Drew a child away from video games, so he get extra praise for me. Like, if you can pull a kid out of his room, make him watch a movie, and he's just sitting there willingly and laughing, then you've done something right.
There's something magical about this movie. And don't say Negro. I'm cutting that the fuck out.
Yeah, I was not going to say that. But no, among the Coen brothers' vast filmography, this is among their best. I don't know that it is their best, but it's among their best. Adapting something like The Odyssey into a setting that is 1930s rural Mississippi. You can't do it better.
I mean, I don't know too many people who would, but the two
Right.
fellas who did a bang-up job.
Yeah, if you like the Coen brothers and you haven't seen this film just because you don't think you'd like the setting or the music or whatever, fucking watch it. The dialogue is worth it just for that.
There you have it, folks. Oh, brother, where art thou? From 2000. A hell of a picture. Just a fucking good time. It's
Yeah.
like this weird thing where the description is itself. It's kind of stands alone and it's wonderful.
3 resounding thumbs up.
If anyone listening has anything on their mind, leave it in the comments below.
Follow these fellas of Constant Sorrow on our social media platforms. We have a great administrator constantly getting new content out there for you on the Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell so you know what we're doing next week.
Well, I'm with you fellas.